Hitman, we caught lightning in a bottle. It's hard to make church cool, but these kind of interactions, relationships, forge people, bond people. And that's what these young men need. I believe that's what they know that they need and want in their life, is I want to be forged.
But man, who's getting in the word with them? Who's teaching them what it looks like to be a disciple and a follower of Christ? The path, like anybody watching this, like if you're looking for the path into schools, it is through that athletic department.
What's the percentage of those kids that have a consistent man in their life? Those are the highways and hedges.
Yes.
Those locker rooms, that sideline, that's how I look at it. We're not preparing them for the next week's game. We're preparing them for life, hopefully. When they know that they can count on a group of men like for that, why would you do it? Because this is in us. We caught the bug, man. There's a fire in us.
What's up, guys? My name is LT. I am your Hitman director, and what you guys are about to watch is I had the honor and pleasure of sitting down with the founder of Guts Church, the founder and starter of the Hitman program, Pastor Bill Scheer, and a GYC director, a Hitman legend, and somebody who passed that on. He was a rep for me in the Hitman program, Chris Hart. If you want to hear us talk about ministry like you've never heard it before, how we get into football teams, how we get on the field, get into schools, and just talk about the Lord through contact is actually just an awesome thing. So tune in, and thank you for watching.
God, I thank you for your voice into our lives, proclaiming it on this podcast. God, that coaches, players, parents see this and it glorify you in Jesus' name.
I just really wanted to kick it off with how the Hitman program was started. I mean, I was a product of the Hitman program in 2010 through 2015, and he was running it at that time, but it started way before I was a product. There was a lot of people that came before me, and you started it. You were the head. This is your program. Anyways, how did you come about with the Hitman program?
I coached football as a newlywed for 3 years. We moved to Southern California, and really, honestly, it was definitely God, but that wasn't in the plan because we went right into ministry from there. And I was a youth guy in a local church in Southern California, and it was a pretty churchy environment that I really didn't fit into well. And so I met this guy that was an assistant football coach at the high school, big high school in this community. And so I went by the weight room. It was in the summertime, and the head coach was in there lifting. AC/DC's like banging at 10 on the volume, and just introduced myself and honestly hit it off like that. And he said, well, what do you need? And I said, I'm just here to serve. Anything we can do, I'll shag balls, whatever I can do. He said, no, why are you really here? And I said, well, I want to minister to the kids. He was Catholic, huge family. They love God, had some religion in it, but they were all very open. And let me tell you, honoring toward ministry and honoring toward me as a minister. And I said, well, what I'd like to do is he said, why don't you speak to the team once a week? And I said, well, that's great, but I think we need some bait and a hook. He said, what could that be? I said, well, let's give an award out. I'll give a t-shirt out every week. And he said, okay. And like character, or I said, yeah, I think any church out there could do that. And I said, how about the biggest hit of the week? And he went nuts. His brothers went nuts, and it took off. And to the point where they'd be watching film, and I'd be in the film session with the team, and kids were going vertical, like on kick return, and are covering kicks and trying to get that hit award and get it on film so they could, and where the coach had to say, my gosh, what are we doing? And loved it. And then we moved to Tulsa. Again, I couldn't, and I can't now, I couldn't just resolve myself to church stuff. So I went into and met the head coach at Union High School. And then he was there a couple of years, and I went in there sporadically, and then Bill Blankenship got hired. I went in, and I'm sitting in Bill's office, and I said, "What can I do for you?" And he pointed out the window and across that little hall where the defensive coaches were sitting, and you guys know who they are. He said, "I need you to impact those guys." I got up, walked in there, and I'm telling you, we're still friends, all of us. I mean, dear friends. And again, they honored the ministry, but that's where it started. And then other coaches wanted to be a part of it. We'll probably have schools in the area that get wind of this, and we'll get calls or emails or something about coming doing it in their school. Because it's a big impact and gets the attention of kids. And it's a great inroad into schools.
Yeah, that's awesome how it started and how you started it in California, brought it here. But what I'm hearing out of that is you kind of started it to have the relationships with the coaches.
Yeah.
Like it started, obviously it's a big deal with the high schoolers and them getting an award and stuff like that. But I think something that kind of goes under the radar and misunderstood a little bit about Hitman is the relationship that the rep or that you started to have with the coach. It starts from the head and kind of what they go through coaching and the relationships they have. I mean, a lot of times you hear about coaches or the divorce rates of coaches or certain things because they're being the dad of 60 kids and they can't be at home with their kids' activities, or some of them are just consumed and you're there to shed light.
Well, and they initially, and we go through, and you guys have experienced this, but we go through times where they don't know how far they can go with kids. Talking about Jesus, talking about the Lord, talking about sin, the whole thing, where I don't have any restraints on that. So I can just go in, and there was zero pushback. And it didn't surprise me, but I mean, because people know what we're about. We're not sneaking up on anybody. It was fun at the beginning when the church just started 33 years ago. It was fun because people didn't know. It's like, wait, it's a church, you're a pastor, and it's like, I wouldn't even comfortable being called a pastor, but now we're not sneaking up on anybody. We're coming in and it's like, okay, we're praying, you're praying with me, you're getting this, and then Chris had such great success. You're having great success with athletes in our youth, key students, probably kids that very few people could really reach. And we're not coming in as posers, and we're not coming in as like one of the boys. We know our role, and it has been a huge highlight in my life in ministry. It probably helped me get through the 3 years in Southern California working in that church, just because being at that high school and unfettered ministry. And I said, how long have you been praying for an inroad in that school? And they said, decades. I said, do you understand we have one? Do you understand we're in? They painted Guts Bulldog Hitman on the side of the weight room building on the wall and painted names in for each game. It was this huge, you couldn't miss it. You drove through town. It was like, and they did that. And I'm still friends with those guys. One of the guys got saved, and he's got a huge rehab. He's got a church in Paris, California, and a huge rehab, ministering to hundreds, maybe thousands of guys that no one else could probably reach. I mean, it's been amazing. So the relationships and stuff that you stewarded, obviously coming here with the Coach Blankenship and people like that, and the momentum started to carry over when you handed it to Hart. What was that like once you got somebody like Hart to run the Hitman program? And then obviously you can talk about how that was taking it and running with it. Yeah, just pitching it to Chris. It was because I think it had the same effect on Chris that it probably did have on me 20 years before that or whatever it was, because it's like, oh, okay, all of the meetings and all the plans, and the Bible says where there are no oxen, the stall's clean. All the stall cleaning that goes with being on staff at a church. Oh, wait a minute, I get to go breathe real air and go to football practice and dog pile kids and And I mean, it's been a joy, but Chris took ownership. Chris stewarded the program to make it great. And really honestly, my deal is getting and I know we need guys that played football to be involved, but I just think guys that love kids are the ones that need to be involved. We've had guys that would rent buses on their own dime and take them and feed them and bring them to church and, from across the river. I mean, it's shocking. But the guys who've been through this program that are head coaches now around here, it's amazing.
It really is.
Well, and I'll tell you, one of my earliest memories with Pastor Bill, I think we had gone to lunch one time, and I jumped in the truck with him, and he goes, man, I need to swing by. It was actually Metro High School, and I didn't know what we were doing, and we got out, and he had a shirt over his shoulder, and I just walked on the field with Pastor Bill. We didn't really know each other. There was a natural connection, and the team, we walk on the field, and the kids start kind of getting hype, and I'm kind of seeing this all for the first time, and they surrounded Pastor Bill. He talked for 3 or 4 minutes, gave out this award. Come to find out it was the hit of the week, and they had voted on it and the whole thing. Kids are going nuts. He tells them a little bit about Jesus, and then we drove to Edison High School, and he goes, hey, you do this one. And I'm telling you, it probably changed the trajectory of my outlook on ministry, just seeing it actually play out. Gave probably a pretty average word, but I gave out a T-shirt to this dude that had just cold-cocked somebody, and the team goes nuts. And I don't know, a few months after that, I came actually officially on staff at the church, and we really started doing that and went from whatever the number was at that time. We were in 7 or 8 schools, I think, at the time. And it was like, man, what if this is genius. This is anointed. It was just my take on it, getting to see what he had started. Thought, what if we went as far as like Muskogee and Owasso and every Tulsa public school and ended up being 25, 26 high schools that we had a rep at every single week. But I think the key was the foundation that you laid. Like, I can't tell you how many times I would tell a rep, it's like, go shag balls. Because I remember you saying that to the first coach you ever met. We're just here to serve them.
Right.
We're sitting in the back of a defensive room while they're going through their plays. Man, here we're running a 3-4 this week. Perfect. And the hitman reps in the back of the room in the middle of it. And then slapping butts and be like, hey, you know what to do. Now let's go get it. You know what I mean? But it really was a service opportunity to these players and to these coaches. And then I think maybe a real shift was we started saying, okay, every week we're going to host 1 or 2 of these teams in our GYC services. And that was such a bump for the church, obviously a huge bump for the youth group, because you've got already our core amazing team that's in there. And then you add 100 football players and cheerleaders and band kids and trainers and mamas. That's just to the Wednesday night service. So now those services just went through the roof. We had Jinx and Union on the same night on purpose in those battle balls and just say, hey, both middle linebackers, and let's see if we can't blow these balls up. You know what I mean? And it was just wild. And then the cool thing is the addition of the Ultimate Hitman Awards ceremony was ESPYs for high school kids that just took it again. The local news is showing up, thousands of athletes with parents, full marching bands. I mean, it was just neat. Like, it was obviously anointed in the beginning, and then the scaling of it was very natural and supernatural at the same time. It was almost effortless with a whole lot of effort, but just God's hand was on it. And you look out in the crowd, and it's freak athletes that are in the NFL now doing amazing things in high school, got plugged into youth, got their lives right with God, and then we got to celebrate them on a massive scale.
Yeah, it's awesome, kind of the legacy and how it's passed down of you talking about how Pastor Bill went to that school. You had no idea what was going on at Metro. And then the next school, he's like, all right, it's yours. And me kind of taking over Hitman, I was obviously a product of the program, and you were out there all the time at Union when I played. So I got to see that, but I'd never in a million years would have thought I'm going to be the Hitman director one day. That was never a thing that I thought of. And then, we went out to Edison, which is crazy. You said that was the first place that Pastor Bill took you, but went out to Edison. The coach told me be out there at 6:30 or 4:30 or something like that when practice started. And I'm like, perfect. I'm in my car. I'm there 15 minutes early like I need to be. You're there at the first school to kind of show me the flow. And I'm like, I'm waiting in my car because he told me to be there at 4:30. So Chris gets out. Come on, let's go. We're going straight into the coaches. Walks in the locker room. I'm kind of like, what are we doing? Like, he said 4:30. Why are we going in at 4:15? Let's wait on the coach. He has authority here. Chris walks into the locker room. Hey, where's your restroom at? I got to take a pee. Went into the restroom, pees. Hey, where's your coaches at? Points to the coach's locker room, goes straight into the locker room and takes it to them and kind of just starts talking, meets the head coach, chatting with all these coaches. And then that relationship started from up front. And I kind of got to saw, okay, we walk in authority with this program. What you started, 30 years ago, and then what you got to create and the momentum you got to lead into. And then what I got to is just like, no, we don't wait for these coaches and players to get to the field. We have the authority as Hitman, as Guts reps, as men of God that this program is built to take it to them, go straight into the locker room, be involved in stuff like that, which is just a cool thing. And like you said, the breath of fresh air, being on the field, it is like when I go to these schools and I'm like, this is a job. Like, this is not a job. This is awesome. I get to come out here and talk to football players, make fun of them, like be a dude with them, and also relay the word and let them know that we're here for them.
Who else is walking into a locker room and looking a coach in the eye and say, man, how are you? This is a hard job. This is hard on your marriage. All the expectations from the top of a state champion to a low-level, underfunded public school, whatever it might be. And actually you walking in with authority, coach, I'm here for you as much as I am for those kids. How can we help you? How can we serve you? And I'm telling you, it unlocks it. And you made that point early on, like every church in the world was having a hard time getting into schools. And it's like, wait a minute, the path, like anybody watching this, like if you're looking for the path into schools, it is through that athletic department. We're at Booker T. Washington.
Yeah.
And the principal was tight about people on campus and would watch us on the sideline week after week. And she came over and she goes, number one, can I get a Hitman shirt? No, ma'am, you have to earn it. Number two, tell me who y'all are. I watch you with the kids and we need more of it. Got access to lunches, got access to classes because we were faithful on that sideline, because the coach allowed us in, and now the principals and the superintendents realized the effectiveness. Robert Meacham's played in the NFL and got injured on a punt return, comes over to the side. We prayed for him on the sideline with the principal standing there, and she goes, boy, I hope that works. That sucker goes back in and scores a touchdown. Yeah. I mean, those moments that they got to see, but it gave us access.
Well, and you can't, like, it's interesting when you said, here's how you get into schools. How you do it matters too.
Yes, sir.
You can't replace energy. And let me tell you, these guys, they're adept at discerning whether it's fake or not.
Right.
Whether you're a poser or not, and what we have is that genuine energy for that, where it's like, like a group of 100 high school kids doesn't bother us. Never, and I think it shocks people when they go over like into our youth service and there's all these kids and it is A to Z, the diversity. And then they end up worshiping God together and paying attention during the message and then hanging out. And when I see these guys, I'll see these guys in the community. I'm over there once a month, maybe once every couple months, and they'll come up behind me and grab me like I'm one of the boys. And I don't know, that's a joy of ministry that goes with being here at Guts.
I mean, the Hitman program, I'm just smiling about it because it's just such an awesome program all in all. Like it just covers and it ticks all the boxes across for ministry, for fellas, for young guys growing up, needing to see that consistent figure out there every week with a word, with a shirt. And it's crazy how it's as simple as a shirt. And kids go crazy for it. I mean, I remember
on the field with a shirt and you're the hero.
Oh man. I mean, there's only 12 people. I mean, Union was running 110, 120 players at the time. Only 12 people on that team get that shirt.
Right.
That's not something I can be cool with Chris with and get that shirt.
Well,
it's like, you have to earn that.
I had a girlfriend of a player call and she goes, I want for Valentine's Day. So we're 4 months after football season. And she goes, all he's ever talked about is that he didn't get a Hitman shirt. Could I buy one to give him for Valentine's Day? I said, that's a great gesture. Never, absolutely not ever. These shirts are earned. And I think that was the power of it. You were talking, we would come in and they would be doing film session, the coaches deciding who got the hit that week.
Yeah.
Because it was that big of a deal. And then some of the teams will let the players vote on it and, whatever, but you come over and it's like, man, Bobby Jones earholed that kid. The best was, schools like Booker T and stuff like that, to your point, We had times where the whistle would blow and then a kid would just destroy somebody and the whole sideline's going, Hitman. Hey, it's got to be between the whistle. But so bought in, so fired up because there was so much in that shirt.
Well, you bring up Booker T. There were a couple games I'd get there. They'd be in the locker room getting ready to take the field. Chris is breaking them down in the middle of the locker room. And I mean,
ready, speak, speak.
That's the relationship. And that's the key. The key is what Paul said, become all things to all men that you might save some. We're not coming in and trying to take over. We're coming in to serve. And I'm telling you, that's what people don't realize about Hitman. It's just serving that program, serving those kids. Principals loving us. I can be a bit of a handful for, just maybe the anticipation of what the interaction is going to be with an administrator and really honestly, the Hitman opens those doors like crazy.
It really does. Who would you say, I mean, you guys, I played with some greats that won Hitman. We were talking about this yesterday. We kind of have an image that we're creating with a bunch of just NFL guys that have been through the program. And I mean, I would say, and I'm not kidding, you asked me if I was kidding, but hundreds of Division I football players to not even close. The amount of Division I. We go to Division II, Division III football players, but who would be some guys? I mean, you've been to football games and watched some guys that is like, wow.
Don't say Robert Meacham because I know you're about to.
Well, Felix. I mean, so many. The interesting thing, we a few years ago we'd take a Monday night Harley ride. We go to dinner, like 20 Harleys, and we went to a barbecue place. And there's a local coach at 45 minutes from here doing his radio show in the lobby of that restaurant. We walk in, and I didn't pay attention. I sat down, and the waitress came over and said, "Do you mind talking to Coach so-and-so?" And I said, "Well, no, I didn't even see him." And I walked over there, and he said, "Man, can you guys do Hitman here?" And he stopped his radio show to come and ask me if we could bring Hitman to his school. I mean, it's almost, to me, there probably been half a dozen different things that are outside of normal church work. That's like catching lightning in a bottle. Hitman, we caught lightning in a bottle. I know other people have tried to mimic it and do it, and it's got to be genuine. Yeah. But it fits the attitude and personality of our church as well.
I'll tell you a lesson in this. You mentioned Felix Jones. One, he would bring 40 guys with him every week. They'd answer the altar call every week. It was fantastic. At one point, he took the youth worship guy, put him in front of the goal, and jumped over him and dunked on him. That was my favorite night. But what was interesting is after football season, some of the guys didn't come as often. And so I went and grabbed him in the weight room. This is like in January. And I said, "Hey, I've been missing you." And they said, "Man, you haven't been here every week like you were for Hitman." And this middle linebacker, he says this, he goes, "If you come to us, we'll come to you. But if not," and it changed my perspective on youth ministry. Because I'm just thinking they're going to come. They should be here all the time. The consistency that Hitman creates and forces, well, I didn't even realize that was the connection. We're out there every week. So, of course, man, you invite us, we're going to come. I stopped going as much. I'm not as consistent. I'm not as frequent. I mean, you think about the consistency that creates confidence, the consistency that creates the right habits. And I think that was a revelation for me as a youth leader. Man, if we're going to go to them, they will come to us. If not, it's not always a one-way street.
Well, two things. What's the percentage of those kids that have a consistent man in their life?
Yeah.
Number one. And number two, those are the highways and hedges.
Yes. Those
locker rooms, that sideline, that's how I look at it. And yeah, I know it's street corners and back alleys, but I'm telling you, those highway, when you go and that kid's thinking he's coming to watch me play. Well, that's a buy-in.
Right.
That validates that kid, that values that kid, and what's awesome is I could be in the stands and watch you guys on the sideline. That that team knows you're on the sideline, you're with them, and not getting in the way. And I've had coaches, college coaches, that they asked me to be on the sideline, and then they said, "Man, come just stand by me." I'm like, okay, it's a bit awkward because I know there's 20 youth pastors sitting up in the stands, and here I am standing next to the coach. But that's the doors that God opens when we're committed and faithful to those highways and hedges.
Well, and the reality is ministry has to boil down to influence, right? How big an impact can we have because of how much influence do we have? And I learned this from you, but it's all about bell sheep. And I think what Hitman does is gives you access to the bell sheep. Yeah. Like we want to get a whole school into that youth building. Man, you better believe that 50 of the athletes showing up on a night, the rest of the school is going to come. Now you do that at multiple schools and you really can influence an entire city. But Hitman's amazing because you walk on that field with a shirt. So you're a hero because you're going to give out a shirt that day. And then you're speaking life into those athletes and inviting them. And we get them, they're the bell sheep. Now everything follows those like it or not, in high school, people follow the athletes. And so it just gave us an open door to the most influential people on campus, and now we influence them and have access to the school.
Yeah, and there's just so many layers. I mean, what you guys have been talking about to the Hitman program and all the perks you get out of it. But one of the main things, and both of you guys touched on it, is just the consistent presence and the guys who don't have consistent presence of you guys going out there and watching the game. I just remember I started coming to this church when I was 12, but football was my entire life. Just with how I was raised, how I was brought up, I knew football was my piece. Football was my out. When I put helmets on, that kind of stuff, I'm not worried about what's happening. And then when I hit high school, it's like this Hitman, this presence. And I started coming to church, and I kind of knew about the Hitman program and always wanted a shirt. And then when I was in high school and you were out there every Wednesday, I'm like, man, this is awesome. Like, this guy knows who I am. He's consistent. He's inviting me. And obviously this became my home church, and I started to invite people. But just that layer of, you didn't even know that you're just being consistent, going out there, loving on kids, giving out a shirt, spreading the word, but also that presence of just like, wow, I mean, this guy, if that guy can be consistent in my life, I can be consistent in going to church, and that's who I want to be like. Like, I kind of latched onto that. And then I got here, and obviously there's hundreds of guys that, I could be like, that's who I want to be like. And then we met, and just everything just took off. But Hitman to me is family, which is just awesome, because the more we're in these schools, the more I talk to these coaches, wherever they are. I mean, even Coach Blankenship, he's known to me because I played football. That's one of your dear friends. Coach Blankenship really well, one of your good friends. And just me coming into the program, it's like I talked to him about, he retired, came back to Owasso, and he's like, yeah, man, I can make any time work with you, like your family. And I'm like, just that statement coming from him as foundation that you guys laid, I'm just happy that I can steward it well. But it is family. What do you need? I got you kind of thing. And it's more than just 12 weeks. Like, it's a nighttime call in January. It's a February. It's a March, April. You
get a phone call and a kid beat up his stepdad because he was pushing his mom around. It's like, these aren't like youth ministry 101 kind of handbook assignments. Right. This is stuff that, these guys are dealing with things that, no one, who prepares you for that? And then we're always and this probably shouldn't be a blanket statement, but we're always going to back the kid. We're going to stand there through thick and thin, no matter what. And, it's been, I think back, I don't exaggerate, dozens, maybe 100 or hundreds of those kind of situations where it's like, man, what do we do? Kids, honestly, this opens door that they want to confess it. They want to get it out. They want somebody to know what they did or what they're going through, or, because it's just eating them up on the inside. And it's difficult because football, sports becomes it's their way out, or it's an outlet for them, or it's an advantage. It's what's going to promote them. And at the end of the day, we're not preparing them for the next week's game. We're preparing them for life, hopefully.
Yeah, there's something to bringing a genuine spiritual authority into that kind of a team dynamic. And it's funny, you got most 30 or 40-year-old guys haven't been in a locker room since high school. Like the locker room's like sacred. It's precious. Like it is a safe place. And so in that safe place to bring the spiritual element that's typically like every team's going to say the Lord's Prayer before they take the field. But man, who's getting in the word with them? Who's teaching them what it looks like to be a disciple and a follower of Christ, breaking the word down. So you bring that to something that's already powerful in that team dynamic, and you put a legitimate spiritual emphasis on it and in it, in the coaches that are now living it themselves, in the players. It's crazy what takes place on those teams and the culture that we get to help cultivate.
Yeah, I would say where Hitman is today, where do you see it going from today in the future?
Well, it's hard for me because we're probably in the third generation of Hitman, and things get lost in the translation a lot of times where it's like, if you want to be in 25 or 27 or 28 schools, that's going to take about 50 committed guys.
Yep.
And we're talking, we could get on this in this conversation, talk about the highlights. There is a lot of day-to-day, week-to-week. Oh my God, I got to fill up the van and they're late and you drop them off and their parents are late to pick them up. And I mean, it's all that stuff that it is what really, it's the mortar in between the blocks, building the structure of reaching these kids. And, I think that if you get half a dozen highlights in a season, that's probably a big plus. Because most of these teams aren't winning. Man, a few of them are. In Union and Jinx and Owasso and Bixby and Booker T and now Bixby. Man, these teams are, but most of these teams, you forget what high school football is and you go out to some of these outlying areas. And I remember pulling up thinking, I'd see a group of dads down in the corner of the end zone smoking a cigarette. And there's like 10 of them. I'm like, oh yeah, this is high school football. I forgot.
Flick the SIG, call a play, take a call in the middle of practice. And there's a whole lot, but you probably have to admit maybe one of the best parts of the grind was actually creating the Hitman shirts. Yeah. Every year in June or July, Pastor Bill and I would sit around a computer and he'd go, one of my favorites was, it just said, "One bad bloodthirsty mother," is what it said on the shirt. And that was straight up Pastor Bill. And then I think the next year was hurdle the weak, trample the dead. And I mean, and every year we'd show up at practice and coach go, "Bro, what's the line this year? How ridiculous was Pastor Bill this year?" And but again, the shirts are coveted. And it's like, there's no way. And the cool thing is then the guys are wearing those shirts. If you win it, that becomes like your under the shoulder pad shirt.
Oh,
like
100%.
You're wearing it every Friday. I mean, it was shocking what it meant to him, but it was because Pastor Bill and his shirt creation every year was fantastic.
Dudes where I'm in college, dudes where I'm in the NFL. I mean, I still have a Hitman shirt that I won. It's weird when I see a random person with a Hitman shirt. I'm like, how'd you get that shirt? Because it is sacred. I mean, genuinely, if you had that shirt, you're connected with somebody. And you see it all around town. It's not just in Tulsa. It's in the surrounding areas, the surrounding schools. I mean, those shirts get passed around, which is just awesome. What do you think would make a good rep at a school? So somebody that goes there every week, connects with the coach, gives a word to the team, hands out the shirt. What makes, I guess, a good rep at a school?
We've had so many shapes and sizes of reps. And some of them are former D1 stallion guys that get football. That's great. But I think the word that we keep using is, if you've got a guy that has a heart to see young men get better and will be consistent, you could be a great rep. You got to be able to communicate. You're going to communicate God's word. There's that part of it. But we had so many coaches that would just say, like, you've been here every single week for like 10 years. Like, we don't miss practices. You know what I mean? And I think that was it. And so there's such a trust, because these coaches are putting their livelihood on the line for the success of that team. And now we get to come in and hopefully add to that and help that and give that a legitimate exponential bump. But there has to be that consistency and that trust. We've got guys that did not play football but you mentioned it earlier, would show up consistently, get a bus organized for those kids. We had a guy one year goes, man, if you don't have great cleats, give me your sizes, let me know, and had his company fund cleats for a team for some of these outlying schools that didn't have the funds. So a heart for the kids, the ability to communicate, man, a heart for those coaches. And if you will show up consistently and do your job, it's not a complicated job, but it does take effort. You're going to show up once or twice a week and be who you need to be as an example of consistency, because most men don't have it.
Well, and the number one thing, and I think it becomes cliche in church, but you're going as an ambassador for Christ.
Yep.
I mean, you're representing the kingdom. So those guys are looking at you. So the consistency, the persistence, the passion, the energy, all that stuff matters. But there's a guy that was at Webster, and he took it to heart. Man, I think, honestly, he might still be feeding people take them to meals and stuff 10 years, 15 years later. But it's interesting because guys that'll try and have effort, that everything isn't about them. It's hard because so much of church work is us trying to get God's promise into people. So they're taking the promise and they're thinking, oh my gosh, my life's getting better. This is improving them. My finances, the trips I'm taking, the truck I'm driving, all this stuff's getting better and better, but it's all about me. Where if we could take this, that you talk about a rep, where he's got to flip it and it's got to be about them. And then that's ministry. Yep. The Bible says Jesus came to be served. He came to serve. And that, I'll tell you, if somebody could come in, be committed, and really honestly run the plays we call. As a hitman, you're not going in as a quarterback. You're just getting in the huddle, and you got to run the play that's been called. And not make it up, because those coaches, and again, I go back to this, they're not sure where that line is, that ministry line in a public school is. I don't know that they need help. They want help. It's similar to like the homeless issue in communities. Everybody wants to help them, but they just don't want it in their neighborhood. Right. And it's like, wait a second, well, this is similar to that, where, man, they want the help, even administrators, but one complaint, so that's the tightrope you have to walk in those kind of settings. And I'm getting back to the reps, the guys that know that, man, I've got to toe the line. I've got to be careful. I'm speaking for the program. I'm speaking for the church. I'm speaking for the leadership, and I'm not going to do anything to soil it.
Yeah, I think there's something to garnishing being a rep and being protective over what you're an ambassador for the kingdom, obviously for Guts Church, what you're representing, and just talking about the kind of funny line that we toe with sometimes some schools and coaches, administration don't know where you can go with ministry and school and how far you can go with things. I mean, there was a school right when I took over that another church had baptized some kids on the football field. One kid said something, then it's like, you cannot say Jesus on the field or we're going to get in trouble, blah, blah, blah. So there was a way around it of obviously just saying the word and speaking it, but just kind of still speaking the word, but just being cautious of how. But it's cool that they still allow us out there, even though no other programs were allowed. McLean, they had a shooting 2 years ago after the football program. No people were allowed on the field for a year. First time anybody's even allowed at the game. Myself, JoJo, and I don't know who else was there. Somebody else, first people on the field in a year, but they trust us with that. And it was a cool opportunity. I mean, there's nobody in the stands. It's just us three on the field, some news media outlets, because it's the first time they've had a game at home since the shooting. And it's like, you see three guys with Hitman on the sideline just supporting those kids when we can get out there. So It's just a cool relationship that we have.
The community side of it's wild. There was a school here that at one point they had 16 players in 5A football on varsity, just because the school was in such a bad spot, bad shape. Got in with the football team. We're doing Hitman there. We've done it for years, but it was just a real low point in their program. Got a hold of the principal. And not only did we do Hitman, we started filling the stands with Guts folks just so somebody was watching the kids play. We'd have 100 youth leaders and friends and family just cheering on our guys. But that's the difference. So then, of course, you walk into the school to go there for lunch or say hi to a kid before school. I mean, we're those guys that are actually filling the stands up and can bring a program back, can bring a school, a 100-year-old school in Tulsa that's having a rough streak. And because of the Hitman program, you can actually impact that community.
Yeah, that outreach that we have with the community is big. You can be a rep, obviously go out to the schools, be committed, but also just families, wives, kids, going to the stands and just cheering on a kid, that goes for a lifetime. I mean, Pastor Bill could be at a game and he could be watching one specific kid, but the other 10 kids that see him thinks it's about them. And just because you're in the stands just has a huge impact. I mean, just being present. So there's so much more to Hitman than just being a rep. There's a community outreach that you kind of spoke about in service 2 weeks ago, but just the impact that it has on single mamas, the community, the coaches, the kids. I mean,
30 plus years ago, superintendent asked me to come to lunch in his office. I did. He offered me the football program. He said, could you take the football program? They had 15 kids. It was a decent size, iconic school in the area. It was a decent sized school. It wasn't one of the big five or whatever, but I was like, man, I'm starting a church. I don't know. I mean, I was 35 years old or something. It was crazy. But the interesting thing is we can help create that bridge to help them do what they want to do as administrators, as teachers, as coaches. And I guess there's haters. I don't know about it. I don't listen. It doesn't register. I know that and let me just tell you, the big thing about it that we've always had, God's favor's been on it.
Yeah.
So God's favor's on your life, doors just open.
They really do. And it's just crazy to see the generation. I think we're in the time of Hitman now, when you think about it, that coaches were Hitman winners. I mean, the head coach of Union, Antonio Graham.
The greatest Hitman of all time, you mean?
Yeah, the greatest Hitman of all time. You watched his game.
He won the award 5 weeks in a row. And I mentioned to coach, I said, hey, if it's legit, let's keep going. But we might want to spread it out a little bit. He goes, no, watch this play. And helmets are flying off every single week. He won it 5 weeks in a row, and as now the head coach of the school he did that at.
Yes, at Union, which is just amazing. But then you have all of my friends who are now assistant coaches or, defensive coordinators or offensive coordinators who won Hitman. So now it's the generational legacy and track that Guts Church is leaving, that started with you, that went through Colway, that went through me, that went through all the reps that we've ever had. But it's just cool because you talk about that 100-year church, and if there is any other church out there talking like that, kudos. But I haven't heard that. But just 100-year, the 4 generations, all that stuff. My family is 4 generations here. It's my grandma, my mom, myself, and Louie. So it's just like, I think when you say that stuff, people think about it and take it lightly. But it's like, no, this is real things. And I don't know if you saw that. Like you said, when you first took over Guts, you didn't see all this, but it's just, you knew that there was favor on it. You had a piece about it, so you went. And it's just, I'm walking in the steps that you kind of created, that path that you.
Well, and I'm thinking at some point there's another chair here with a guy that in 8 or 10 years has been developed to take the program. It's that kind of deal. This is not a generational thing. This is not there's a season. We do this as long as there's high school football.
Yeah, we need Brave and Louie and Tripp winning this thing.
Absolutely.
In high school.
Absolutely.
And gunning for it. And like sleeping in the Hitman church that you earned, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That we gave out so that he can be one day. But then what goes with that, it's fascinating because if you're wearing that shirt, and this is where it's powerful, yes, you had the hardest hit, and you're representing everything behind that shirt. I'm a man of God. I'm living for God. I'm going to act like it. I'm going to talk like it. I'm not wearing this and walking around cussing today. Like, I'm wearing this because I represent what's behind the shirt.
Yeah, and I'm a guy who takes the hit, but I'm also a guy who gives the hit.
Come on.
So both the things that Hitman represents, it's awesome, and it's a dude sport. Like, as you get to develop a bunch of kids that are out there and all the backgrounds that we represent here at Guts Church, single mamas, people with great parents and backgrounds, people struggling with certain situations financially, Section 8, whatever that is, and you get to just reach out and connect with all those different kids. And
well, you brought up Antonio Graham. He played the game where I'm not giving an inch. I'm giving no ground. And somehow playing middle linebacker, everybody's a head taller than him and made it work. But he's also sitting in church every Sunday morning with Coach Davis. And that relationship's been forged for 20 years or so. And so, yeah, he's the guy, Coach Blankenship, Travis Hill, these guys are, whatever they ask, the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Whatever the question is, the answer is yes. And that's pretty, when they know that they can count on a group of men like for that, why would you do it? Because this is in us. We caught the bug, man. There's a fire in us.
Yeah, I think that that return on investment, quote unquote, to say those kids going through the Hitman program, but then getting planted in the church. I mean, again, I'm one of those products, so not to speak about myself, but I mean, without Hitman, that kind of stuff, I mean, the path that I was on, I mean, that program completely changed my life, and now I'm here directing it in GYC, just on staff at Guts Church, but then you have all the other stories of kids getting planted. And I think what was cool, I mean, you have the Felix Jones, those kind of people that were here at this church, like this was their church. They would say that. And what was cool when I went out to Edison with you, and you say it from stage probably once a quarter or maybe more, but just, hey, believing in a plurality of churches, that kind of thing. And you went out there to Edison, it's like, hey, if you go to church, continue to go to church, plug in with great people. You know, we're not here to steal kids from churches or anything like that. But if you don't go to church or you're looking for a place, Guts Church is a place for you.
We got you.
And we got you. And I'm just like, man, that perspective. And all the time you hear about people going to different churches or what's going on. It's like, yeah, but what about the other thousands of kids that don't have a church?
We live.
What
in
about
Tulsa.
on the football team,
Yeah.
the 10%, the other 60% that don't go to church or not, like, come to Guts.
Right.
We're that place for you. And it's just
you
cool.
can win here. We're going to speak your language. The way we're speaking to you on the field is how we're going to speak to you in the church service.
100%.
As much money as we throw at it and ideas we have, it's hard to make church cool. But these kind of interactions, relationships, forge people, bond people. And that's what these young men need. I believe that's what once they get a taste of it a little bit, that's what they know that they need and want in their life is I want to be forged. I want, where iron sharpening iron and where every joint supplies. They got somebody on their speed dial that they could call if they get in a pickle. And I'm telling you, back when Taylor was in high school, I'd get calls once a month from cops or somebody saying, hey, this kid mentioned your name. I got your number. Can you come pick him up? I'm like, sure. What'd you do? And honestly, I know that everybody doesn't have an appetite for that ministry. We just do.
Yeah, I think that getting forged thing is just awesome because it's kids that want to get forged, but then obviously men that are looking to forge young adults. And it's the cool
with
thing.
everything getting thrown at men today, they've got to have blue steel backbones, man. I mean, it's got to be. We're not, just like the way Antonio played, I'm not giving an inch. I saw it dozens of times. Somebody'd run dive or power and they'd have a bunch of momentum and it would just stop because they hit a brick wall and it was Antonio. So that's how he's going to lead his family. That's how he's going to lead his football program. And I'm just telling you that sucker can win.
And to that point, we went.
And it doesn't just happen.
Yeah, that's right. We went to school one time, and they announced the winner, and it was the punter. And I was like, listen, I'm going to give you this shirt, but I need everybody to look at me. Punters don't win this award. And the whole team's, man, my bad. He cold-cocked a kid, but it's like, hey, punters can't win this. That means that nobody else was playing the way they're supposed to. There's a standard that goes with this shirt. We can't have punters walking around the school wearing the Hitman shirt.
No, seriously. And then the actual event, having all the schools here, I mean, all the coaches, that kind of thing. It leads
multiple
to
drum lines, cheerleaders, trainers,
100%.
all the mamas.
Just all the things that go on, like you said, NFL coaches, college players, college coaches, just giving a shout out to the Hitman program and us being able to celebrate a group of kids, maybe rivals typically during their first week of playoffs or, leading in. But it's just cool to see that culture at the end of the year where you have hundreds of football players and hundreds of people just from school all over to come and celebrate these kids.
I think one of the coolest things about the awards is just the coaches buy-in. And that probably is the proof of consistency. We go there every week and say, hey, coach, would you be a part of the ceremony at the end? And I mean, to the coach, man, you've come to us 15 times this year, absolutely, I'll be there. And the coaches are giving out awards, and then an NFL guy swerves in or a college guy swerves in, and it just makes it such an epic event to celebrate these kids. And then inevitably, there's an unbelievable altar call at the end of it because you've got hundreds and hundreds of athletes that just need to be led and need to be given that opportunity. And that's obviously the whole purpose of that Hitman Award ceremony. Let's celebrate them and let's make sure they're going to heaven.
100%. It's one of the longest, it probably is the longest running thing at Guts Church, event / whatever wise of just programs.
Well, if you count Southern California.
Yeah.
Right.
Which was shocking. A Mormon principal at a 6A high school asked me to do an assembly. And I'm like, do you know what I do? And at that time, I'm probably 30 or 31 years old. I said, do you know what I do? And he said, yeah. And he said, just do what you do. I got up and preached to the high school. I mean, because of the impact that Hitman had on, and I think we called it the Butkus Award back then. And then the Butkus Award became Hitman, and it was, but it's just amazing how you see walls between people and conflicting areas that come down.
Yep.
And I believe it's just God opening doors, because I think honestly, it stood the test of time and will continue because it's the right heart, it's the right attitude.
And I think coaches would anytime we'd go to a new school, like somebody that was interested in doing this, it was amazing to say we would come in and say, we're not asking anything of you. We're here to, like, Jesus came to serve, not to be served.
Yeah.
We are bringing this to you. This is our gift to you as a church. We're going to provide the shirts. We're going to provide a great communicator. And we're going to love on you. And if you need something, you just let us know. And we will be here. Whatever time you don't, we'll be here every week. We won't miss. And just bringing that kind of commitment to a program would shock people. There was a church that wanted to open in Ohio. We went up there and literally walked in cold to multiple offices, like we did with you here at Edison. And every coach would say, what's the catch? Man, there's no catch. We're going to provide this for you. We believe in you as a coach. We believe in these athletes, and this is going to give you a bump.
Well, and I think too, thinking about my peers in ministry that are like, well, can you do that? Because they're like, can you preach in these schools? We're not preaching. Here's what we're doing. We're bringing what we do it fits the program. It's the biggest hit of the week. However safe that they want to mandate football to be, the lure of it is there's collisions. And I'm telling you, I believe it's built for boys and men. There is a bond with in the football community.
Well, I think that's key, because that's what you're saying, that it has to be genuine. You can't fake it. It has to be something that you do, because it is like, if you're not genuine and you don't know what's going on, it's like, can you do that? Are we allowed? Right. And that's me following Hart, going in there like, what they said 4:50. They said 4:30 though. Why are we going in there at 4:15? And you're like, that got passed from you to him, where it's like, no, you kind of just have to watch and see how it happens, and kind of watch somebody walk in their authority and favor. And it's like, okay, I can do that.
The best thing about that story, I thought, we're in there for 5 minutes. We're talking to the coaches, getting personal with them. 5 minutes into it, though, you're talking defensive schemes. You're playing, some of the I think that's a great just lesson. Man, walk in, be confident. You're here to serve them. And then there's a flow that takes place, and you immediately started walking in that flow, and have done it for years now.
Yeah, and the consistency of just showing up. I mean, one of the coaches you were talking about, Coach Hill was, a legend at East Central, just a legend as a coach in general, but was out in Muskogee, was coaching there until turned that program around, won a state with them, and now back at Broken Arrow. But I remember you being connected with him and just telling me, find some type of way to be out there. Like, he wants to be a part of the program, you need to find a way. And I'm like, I'll go out there. So I went out there every single week for 2 years to Muskogee every Thursday, 45, 50-minute drive. But I'm like, he loves this program and this is what it needs, that relationship that you have with him. And now it's turned into our relationship. I mean, we just had a conversation. He's like, anything you need, I have you. But he brought an entire bus. He drove the bus of his kids. All his coaching staff came down, and that's when they all answered the altar call. And it was like, it just took me showing up, obviously that relationship, but just me showing up, being consistent to get those 50 to 65 kids to stand up at that, like that one consistently led to that. I mean, our ultimate end is them getting led to the Lord.
Well, and I think honestly, the secret sauce of Hitman, the vision gets cast, caught, and then owned. So like, I had a vision for Hitman, so it was easy for me. Well, I cast that vision. Chris caught it, but then he owned it. It became his vision. And then he cast it, you caught it. It became your vision.
Yep.
And see, it's a collective interest rather than, the good to great model, the genius and 1,000 little helpers does not apply here. Man, these reps are going to these schools. They've caught a vision. They've got to own that vision, or it's not going to work. And it's kind of the sons of Siva that it's like they said to the demon, we said, we cast you out in the name of Jesus, whom Paul preaches. And they said, Jesus we know and Paul we know, but who are you? Yep. Well, these reps have to go in. Man, I'm the Hitman guy for here, and I'm committed. I'm going to be here every week. I'm going to drive 45 minutes. The answer is going to be yes. I'm going to do whatever I can do. Now, go out and beat and whoever they're playing this week. And we're not going in as fans. We become a part of the program.
Yeah.
That's critical. You're a part of this program. And there's a honor to that. And to your point, we respect that and appreciate that, and they do too. It's so mutually beneficial, but you're a part of the program. And we're bumping the program up because we're there.
Yeah, 100%. I think there was so much good talked about in this whole podcast, but I wanted to say before we close is just, it's a huge honor to be able to sit down with you guys. I mean, you, Pastor Bill, obviously starting this program and being able to run in it, but it's just an honor, to just sit down and just chat. Anytime to get in the truck moment, podcast moment, whatever it is, just to sit down and soak up knowledge and hear your heart on stuff is just amazing. And it's just awesome to see what a vision with some peace and some favor, what that goes and what that turns into. It turns into all these lives being able to reach and impact it. And then thank you, obviously, for being my Hitman rep at Union and the director, and obviously being my director in GYC and being that consistent figure, and just you guys showing up, you starting it, you being the guy that says yes to everything, and me as a 12-year-old slapping my hand on your truck, and then me being a 16-year-old actually in the Hitman program, that you giving me a car. It's my life has completely changed. And here's the key to the whole thing. And it's the key to ministry success for me. Like, what rings the bell? Sons. It's sons in ministry. But here's the awkward part of it that I think most pastors and ministry people miss. In the world, the parents adopt the kids. I was adopted, but my dad adopted me. In the kingdom, the kid adopts the parent. And where that, you got the idea of this, at one point you were grafted in. But then there's a point where it's like, wait, it's seamless now. Mm-hmm. I'm in. I've grown into this plant, and I'm producing fruit now. But that's how the kingdom works. That's why there's going to be another chair here at some point. And they're going to take excerpts out of this podcast, and the future podcast with whoever's sitting right here is going to be in here, and that's how it's going to happen. Because everything in the plans that I have in my heart for this church
our 4 generations. So that 4th seat here is going to matter. That means we're succeeding. That means we're winning.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe the key there is the pursuit has to come from the Son to the Father.
Absolutely.
And you taught us that.
And you pursued this. Right. You're here because you want to be here. You wake up in a week and go, man, I don't want to be there anymore. You're going to be somewhere else. And see, that's the decision that we make. So it's going to work, in ministry. It's going to work with Hitman. It's going to work in marriage. It's going to work with everything in our life, is that we make a decision that I'm all in. Yep. See, there's an initial buy-in. And what people don't want to hear is, we had to pay the dues. I'm still paying dues. And I got triggers. I heard a guy preaching talking about, well, we're not here to pay dues. It's like, why am I still paying them then? Because I'm paying them. It's going to cost me. I'm paying these dues. And what is it? Driving 45 minutes to Muskogee. And you know what? And it's kids that aren't tuned into this. They may not have ears to hear. So that shirt perks their ears up. Now they're going to listen a little bit. And now they're going to think, man, Jesus was beaten so bad he was unrecognizable as a human being and didn't complain a bit. I can play football. If Jesus could go through that. See, they're thinking Jesus was this soft, pliable. He wasn't. Man, I know we don't say ass, but he was a hard ass. He went in and it's like, that's what you say that I am. I'm not going to answer you pertaining that matter. But see, we have to understand that if we water this down and soften this to a point that it's not going to cause any ripples, I don't think we're going to reach these young people, especially young men.
That's so good.
That's it. Hey, and we're proud of you. You have pursued,
very proud.
You have stayed the course. You're doing a great job keeping this program at the level that it has to be at. And I just think if you'll stay there, anybody else that's in your kind of a position, your consistency now, like there's no limit on what you can do. So it's never a capacity issue. It's a conditioning issue. And I think what you do every day by showing up and be like, you're conditioning for more capacity, more opportunity. This program will go far beyond anything that we could have created if you'll stay consistent with it. And you're doing that right now.
Appreciate it. Thank you,
Stay
Pastor
strong. Pay up, sucker.
Yes, sir.
Pay your dues, boy. That's it.
And I think you can take this as far as you want. And I may have a couple ideas. Chris has got more. You've got all of them. Man, you're it. And see, that's the other thing that you want to rewind and insert. I think pastors need to find men and young men that have it to go into these schools. Otherwise, they're not going to. This, all I'm thinking about is that 4th chair right now. But that's going to require someone to grab that it, die to themselves. Tell your wife and kids, hey, we're driving 45 minutes. I'll take you to dinner. I got to stop at this high school. Because your wife pays dues. Your wife's paid dues. My wife's paying dues because of what God's called us to do in high schools.
Molly was telling another couple, bragging about our first couple years of marriage, because every Friday night was on me and her in the stands, me on the sideline. Yeah. She'd come down and say hi to the cheerleader girls. I bet like that was what forged the first part of our marriage. Because like it's Friday night and this is what we do. We're going to 3 games tonight and you're going to love every bit of it. You know what I mean? She's changing shirts in the car to cheer on that team and those kids. But it was maybe the funnest time we've ever had, paying dues, but doing the call.
Well, and earning their respect. Man, I'll tell you, they may not have a taste for this, but you're in their respect, they'll acquire a taste for it. And I think that's key and pivotal.
Yeah, Allie loves going to football games. But it's crazy, just all those things that just kind of get passed down. The same thing with wives and kids. I mean, I think I went to Sapulpa or something like that and had Allie and Louie in the car. I was like, hold on one second, let me run out to this field real quick, hand out this shirt.
That's it.
You know, just telling the boys my kid is over there in the car, and now he's running around, so eventually he'll just run on the field with me, come with me to Union, you know, hang out with the boys, have the kids slap high fives, and it's just one of those things. I mean, Hunter Houston last year took Cash to Owasso and just built that relationship, and then when the Owasso boys are coming to GYC, he's running over from junior kids or GK, whatever age he is, to give those Owasso boys high fives, and they're going to games, and, you know, those kids are able to be on the sideline. Tripp is able to be on the sideline. Brave is able to be on the sideline, seeing these state champion dudes.
And you're telling those guys, hey, heads up, my kid's watching.
Oh, yeah.
So I need you to hear what we're saying because he wants to be you. So let me make you great because he needs it.
Everything about it is legit. I mean, it's ministry, it's football, it's dudes. How can you not like doing Hitman?
Well, Taylor in Southern California, the head coach came and he said, let me just tell you, Taylor was probably 2 or 3 years old. He said, Taylor knows how to make and keep eye contact with people. And that was my son, who was a little guy. And then I look and he's in the middle of practice. There's blocking dummies, there's tackling dummies, and he's sitting on one while the defensive line's working out right there. And I'm thinking, this is healthy.
Yeah.
All right, I'm out.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
You're the best.